I'm feeling thankful. I wanna thank. I'm feeling grateful.
So this is my life before Christ. I was someone who grew up in a Christian household, went to church, went to Bible studies, but I didn't have a personal relationship with God. I believed, but I didn't follow Christ. And I remember in year 8, I was watching YouTube and a little advert came up at the corner of my screen. And this was the fuel into my addiction to pornography and masturbation. And from year 8 all the way to 6th form, my addiction just grew, and this is what my life consisted of. So after school, I would just come home, do what I need to do, and every time that I needed some kind of entertainment or pleasure in my life, this was what I did. I just watched and watched and watched, and I acted upon it. And after I did, I would always shower to get myself clean. But even then, I still felt guilty and shameful about what I did, so I would always ask God to help me in some sort of way. But even then, I think my desires for my flesh was much more greater than my desire to change. And occasionally, I would also send explicit and revealing photos to strangers, and even videos as well to them, and I didn't even know who they were. And I would say at some point I did want to change, because it was just getting the same routine over and over again. So I would try to put practical implementations and solutions to help me, and every new year I would always say this was my last year to do this. And every time I felt like there was a thought coming to me, I would always try and turn off my phone, put the phone in another room. Any devices that I know that I can go up and easily search, I would also put them in a different room. But this was as much as my solution came to. There was not much more to this. I didn't have an accountability partner to even help me. So yeah, I would just get my devices back, go on private browsing, because I didn't want anyone to kind of know what I was searching. And I would just keep doing these things. And it just made me realize that even by my own flesh, or even just using these solutions, it doesn't do much for me. It wasn't effective at all, because not by power, not by might, not by my own strength, but by the Spirit. So I had a lot of social anxiety during secondary school, and it got way much worse during 6th form. I remember my friend had a birthday, so she invited me and a few others out. And I said yes, so I got ready, I was ready to go. But in that moment, I just froze, and then I just broke down into tears. I started sweating. I just got nervous about the day. I started to even make up conversations in my head that I could have with them when I meet them in person. So I was just there for 20 minutes or so, building up the courage to actually step out of my house. Eventually I did. I arrived at the venue, and I got lost, so I had to ask the stranger that I didn't know where to go. And even in that moment, after he told me which way to go, I didn't move at all, and I just stood there crying in public, and I had to call my friends to come pick me up. And yeah, it felt quite embarrassing, but at the time I was just someone who couldn't really, my mind was very much in control of how I felt and how I acted. And even in school, during break times, during lunch times, I would find myself in isolation, that I would just miss out on break times and lunch time with my friends, and I would go to another room and just stay there. Not because I enjoyed my own company or anything, but I just felt led to be on my own, that I would occupy my mind with work, wherever it may be, movies, whatever. I just felt like I needed to be alone. My friends were great, they were good, they were good to get along with, but yeah, I just felt lonely in that sense, and just quite felt empty. So yeah. I would say that the great change that happened in my life was coming into uni. My brother brought me to church, and attending the services, I had heard preaching from Nehi about masturbation and pornography. But even then, the conviction wasn't enough to actually tell anybody about the secret sin that I was living in, because I was still filled with very much fear and just thoughts about what would people think about me. But I remember later on there was a prayer meeting where he touched about being mysterious and awanistic, and he quoted a verse from the Bible, which was 2 Thessalonians 2 verses 10, and it says, "And with all deceitfulness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they may be saved." So I was greatly deceived in the life that I was living, and I remember going to bed, and the next day I woke up but I was actually in sleep paralysis, and it was something that I've never experienced before. I could see what was going on around me, but I genuinely couldn't move. My arms, my legs were being pinned down, and then before you know it, my spirit just lifted out of my body, and I was just there floating in the room, watching myself being pinned down. And at that moment I was just scared, so I screamed, and I woke up. Then that day I was on edge, I was taken aback, I didn't know what to do, but I knew that deep down I had to confess that day, because I don't think I could hold it in any longer. So later that evening I did my quiet time on Isaiah 41 verse 10. It says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand." And meditating on this verse, I got my phone and I started writing my confession. Halfway through I started to cry and just cry, so I ended up just calling my shepherd, and he came to just comfort me and help me. And that was the first time I actually did tell someone about the burdens that I had, and he stayed with me and he helped me to finish my confession. And then I had the courage to send it to my pastor Nehi. As I was anxiously waiting, I got a text back and my pastor said, "You are healed." And in that moment, that burden that I'd carried for 6 years, I just felt so much free and so much lighter. And at the end of the day, I just went back to bed and everything else was fine. My encouragement to the people would be to be open to your pastors, your shepherds, your friends, because whatever situation you're going through, don't think that you're the only one who's actually in that situation. There's a verse that says, "What has been will be again, what has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun." Your situation can even help another person as well be set free from the sins that they're living in. And as someone who was living in the darkness, I would say that being open to even share my confession, I was able to now have fellowship with the people that I was around. And the verse for this was 1 John 1 verses 7, which says, "But if we walk in the light as he is in the light, then we have fellowship with one another, and the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all sins." And also I would say that looking back on it now, I wouldn't say that I'm per se shocked as to why I was feeling a lot of anxiety in my life as a result of the music that I was listening to, but gradually being able to even change my taste and preferences into listening to more godly music that is more edifying to my soul. I truly believe that the words generally did have an impact on my mindset and even my character. So my encouragement would be for whoever it is that is trying to generally have a proper change in their lives, be careful of the things that you're seeing and that you're hearing, because all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient.
I feel a thing.